Hey everybody, this is Benjamin Pate with mycbdoilsolution.com. Um, Today I'm going to share my thoughts on the coronavirus and COVID-19 specifically. I know on this channel I do health and wellness, and I share a lot of information specifically dealing with CBD in particular, and this is not going to have anything to do with that whatsoever. This is just going to be me sharing my take, observations that I am making in regards to everything that's kind of going on across the world, and specifically here in the United States. And at least at this point in time, I think I know have enough information that I can kind of say, all right, well, I guess I can kind of make some sort of observation or maybe some guess about what I know at this point, and then maybe see what kind of happens in a couple days or a couple weeks. So I thought it'd be interesting just to kind of do a little video journal and share my thoughts and share my observations and kind of see what happens in the next couple of days and couple of weeks. And those of you who may be watching this, I would or come across this, I would certainly like to hear your thoughts and your perspective as well. Definitely, without a doubt, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to be the apocalypse. It's not going to be creating some scene from The Walking Dead. There is no reason to panic. I'm not going to name any names or like entities, but sometimes there's a lot of information or way things are said or way things are portrayed, or that it causes people to unfortunately react in ways that's impractical, or people kind of lose their humility. When you get to the point that you're going through everyday life or like grocery stores or whatnot, and people are like fighting and assaulting and stabbing or different things like that, I mean, we can't lose your humility in situations like this, and sometimes things are said or spread. Unfortunately, it can cause people to get that way, and I guess it is part of the human condition that we do not like things that we don't understand, and that can cause panic. But we can't lose who we are as a people, and our common courtesy, humility for other people. I mean, that's completely unacceptable. And again, I'm not naming names, or people may say things or spread things that's not correct or unfair, but we can't do that. But again, there's my observation is nothing, no reason to kind of panic. Just some quick data points, just for like background. I thought it'd just be kind of interesting, since you're hearing all these numbers and figures in regards to like COVID-19, but I just pulled some things together off like you just can do a Google search, and these are mostly from the CDC, and I'll tell you the sources I got them from. But pneumonia, for instance, I was curious, okay, how many people die annually from pneumonia? And you're looking at about 50,000 people per year. And this actually comes from the American Thoracic Society, by the way, if you want to check that out yourself. Influenza and the flu, you're looking at anywhere from 12 to 61,000 deaths annually. That's coming from the CDC. You can Google it, pull that source up. That's actually what I did before I put the video together, so check it out yourself. And then I just thought, okay, what about something that seems very common and easy to treat? And I was like, all right, what about strep throat? And I just went and looked it up, and the amount of people who die annually from that, again, this is coming from the CDC, you're looking at 1,200 to 1,900 per year. So I'm just sharing those numbers to put things in perspective, because you hear all these different numbers of people getting affected or people dying or deaths or other different things. I just kind of want to put that out there so people can just take that into consideration, and with something they may know, because again, COVID-19 is something that we don't know a whole lot about yet, and I know we're learning more, but just to kind of put things in perspective. I'm calling this COVID-19 other than just the coronavirus, because everybody's talking about the coronavirus, but the coronavirus is actually a classification of viruses that we've known about for quite some time. It's the COVID-19 is the one in particular that we're kind of dealing with here, that we don't know a whole lot yet. We're starting to get a little bit more kind of at this point. We do know that a lot of the common sense approach things that we should do every day, by the way, like washing your hands, covering yourself, covering your mouth when you sneeze or cough. I mean, yes, it's going to be highly effective to keep the spread of COVID-19 in particular, but these are good common sense practices that we should probably do every day, because when this COVID-19 passes, and it will, you have to think about the common things we see like the flu or other different like germs or bacteria or viruses can be spread the same way. So maybe there is the awareness for people to be mindful of this can pay dividends down the road, when people are using these common practices to avoid the spread of any other germs that could cause like sickness, that can put people out of work or increase your medical bills, or there's all these different things that can happen from that. But these are common sense approaches that's going to be effective not just for COVID-19 but for a variety of different things. And here in particular, since they're doing the self-quarantines or giving advice on avoiding large groups, this is all information you can find from the CDC or even like your local state health departments or department from health. You can go to your local state website and see the same information. These are all things that have been told to you that are very effective that you can do to avoid the spread of COVID-19 in particular. And I think that what we're going to end up seeing, and again, I'm getting to my observations here in particular, kind of make some predictions, is that I think you're going to see those numbers of the people who actually have the viruses or know who had the numbers who had the virus is going to increase, and I think it's going to increase significantly. Now, that isn't a reason to panic, but what I believe is the virus is, we're going to find, well, they're saying this, I can't say believe anymore, that's kind of unfair because everybody knows this, I guess now, that's very contagious, and that's one of the reasons they're giving us all these precautions. So yes, it's very contagious, but the problem is that I think we're going to end up finding out that there's so many people who are walking around who actually have the virus or are carrying the virus, who may have no symptoms or minimal symptoms whatsoever. So somebody like me or somebody else walking down the street who has no problems, no symptoms, and really I don't feel any different than I would any other day, that these are the people who are wittingly, I'm trying to think of the right word I should probably say there, who have been spreading the virus, and it may go to person to person to person. I think those numbers will get larger and larger and larger, and because like the symptoms that people may have or may not even pop up at all, and if they do, it may be some minimum, you don't think anything of it, but eventually that's going to fall on to some of those who are the most vulnerable population, and we're looking at people, the seniors, elderly, or those who have some of these pre-existing conditions that can really cause a lot of problems, and that's where the danger is. And I also believe that we're going to find out that the virus was here existing and spreading much longer than we ever knew. And I think we're going to find out that it was here before we even knew the whole COVID-19 even existed. Yeah, we know it existed. It came out of China, but things are kind of closed off, and who knows if you can take the figures they told us with a grain of salt. I just think that it ended up coming over here long before we even knew anything about it, and that's what kind of allowed probably it to kind of spread the way it was. And again, that's kind of hearsay. There may be a story that may pop up here soon that may say that. That's just kind of me kind of thinking of what's going to kind of happen. So I think those numbers are going to rise as a cause of that. And again, I don't think it's like for us, for most individuals, it's ever going to be anything you kind of really have to worry about, because most of us have a strong enough immunity, or you should be doing things to have like a strong immunity, that you may never feel it, never see any symptoms, not even aware of it whatsoever. So your life really doesn't change as far as you getting sick, but it may transfer to all these other different people and eventually get to somebody who will be susceptible, and that's the problem that's going to end up being the danger. So that's kind of my take, and I think that in the next couple of weeks, maybe the next month, 6 weeks, whatever, 8 weeks, I think some more of the information will probably kind of start coming together, that we'll get some idea of how this whole thing works, how it was spreading, where it kind of came from. Those questions start to begin to get answered, and hopefully we're also at the kind of point that we can kind of be able to kind of contain that curve, where, okay, yeah, we're going to see a whole lot more people who are going to probably have it, but the ones who actually get it's going to be a whole lot more serious. Hopefully can kind of get that contained, Lord willing, and I'm confident that's going to be the case. So it seems like the real danger is the COVID-19 is almost like a stealth rogue operative operating undercover who's causing a lot of problems for the people who are most acceptable. And again, because we don't know how to, we don't know it exists because people don't have the symptoms. Like I said, most people every day will never feel anything, not know it's there, but eventually it can fall on those who are most acceptable. So that's where the real danger seems to be. So that's my take on it. I love to hear your take of what you're thinking. If you have any observations or anything that you're kind of thinking, or if you want to be one of those that wants to kind of make a prediction and see what happens, I'm going to review mine in a couple of days and a couple of weeks and see if that's kind of the case. At least at this point, there's enough out there that I can kind of make an educated guess. Throw a theory out there and see what kind of happens. But I do feel extremely confident. It's not going to end the world. It's not going to be an apocalypse. It's just going to be the amount of time it's going to take in order to get it kind of contained, in order to help protect those who are the most vulnerable, because that's who we should be thinking about. People like us and maybe walking and never see anything, never feel it, but we also have to think about those who are susceptible. So our actions and what we do can have a direct or indirect effect on them. So let's do our part. So again, thank you for watching. If you got any comments, leave them down below. I would love to be able to respond to them directly, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you so much.